Making $400K a year is an incredibly difficult achievement that most people assume is unattainable without having a highly successful business. In reality though, there are a number of careers that ambitious professionals typically try to break into to reach that salary. Today we're going to cover 3 of the highest paying careers out there to determine which of them will get you to $400K a year the fastest, how high the compensation can actually get, and by the end of this video I'm going to guide you on which one may be right for you. By the way, I'm Shawn Hakimi, I work in finance, and for most of my career, I've helped plan compensation for some of the highest paying jobs out there. The first high paying career I think you should get more familiar with is sales, but specifically tech or software sales. Most people hear sales and think of door-to-door pitches or cold calling, but software sales is a completely different game. You're typically working for a tech company that has a tool designed to help other businesses with real problems. The problem might be as simple as figuring out how to get larger teams to communicate online in a secure way, which is something softwares like Slack or Zoom solve for. Once you've climbed the sales ranks to become an enterprise account executive, your job is to go pitch larger companies like Disney on why they should use Slack over any other communication software. It sounds simple, but it's a lot easier said than done. These are long, high-stakes sales cycles that require deep relationship building to close a deal. I'm talking 6 months to over a year long. That's why enterprise account executives at top tech firms earn anywhere from $125 to $175K in just base salary before any commissions. What people join this field for though is the variable compensation or commissions, which is all based on how much you sell. Organizations in most cases will set a target for you to make the same amount in commissions as you do in your base salary. So if you make 150K base, your target is 150K in commissions or 300K total compensation. What makes software sales such a quick means for people to get rich is that the commissions are usually limitless. So how long would it take you to earn your first $400K in a single year? When you start in software sales, especially out of school, you're not just going to begin selling to large customers straight out the gate. You'll probably start as an SDR or sales development rep, and your job for the first 1 to 2 years will be cold calling and emailing clients to generate leads, making anywhere from around $70,000 to $100,000 a year. For most people, it's going to take you 3 years or more minimum into your software sales career to start selling to bigger companies. The year that you start selling to large enterprises, though, is the same year that you can make your first $400,000. Let me explain why. On average, if you're on track in your performance, you'll earn around 10% of the annual contract value for each deal. So if you're selling Slack or Zoom, you might charge the average enterprise $300K a year for the software. So on our earlier question around how much you can make off of one sale, well, that would net you $30K in commissions, and just more than a handful of sales would get you to $400,000 in a single year if you add on your base salary. In reality, there are enterprise tools that cost $400K, $800K, or even $1 million a year. Now imagine closing a $1 million deal for a Fortune 500 client and seeing a $100K hit your commission check off of just one customer. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the beauty of sales. A lot of people, most actually, will never break $300,000 within tech sales, but for the very few high performers, you truly have no ceiling. And I just want to be clear, when I say top performer, I mean less than 1% of sales reps can close that many enterprise deals early on in their career. So to answer the question of how fast it would be to get to $400,000 in a year, it could be in 3 years of experience going into your 4th year that you make your first $400K, if you're insanely good at what you do. On average, you're not going to start selling large enterprise deals until around the 5-year mark, but we're not talking average. And eventually in your career, as I mentioned earlier, if you move up the ladder and go to a company where the average contract for a deal is $800,000, then you could eventually end up earning $1 million or more within a given year. This is all under the assumption that you compete your way into some of the best tech companies out there in the world. No matter how great you are at selling, if you end up selling in a company where businesses don't find any value in their product, then you're not going to be selling much and you're not going to earn anywhere near as much as we talked about in this video. If that sounds too unpredictable for you, then you need to think about a much more guaranteed path to $400,000 a year, and there's no better one than investment banking. For most of you watching this video, you've probably heard a thing here and there about how many hours investment bankers typically work.
What's the latest you've ever stayed up for this job?
Wait, let me think about it. I think 7.
I think 3:45.
7:20 in the morning.
10 a.m.
12 p.m. the next day.
all night.
And look, I get it. The brutal hours are definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but what you need to understand is that any career that could possibly get you to the $500,000 a year mark or more is going to come with a lot of hardships to get there one way or another. Where investment banking shines, especially early on, is that you'll likely start making anywhere from $170,000 to $200,000 within your first year as an analyst. Unlike sales, you don't need to rely on closing deals to get paid, so you have a lot more predictability in your income. Your job essentially is to help companies raise money, sell off parts of their business, or buy other companies. After about 2 years and maybe 3 max, you're expected to get to the associate level, and that's where your compensation jumps up substantially. Also, if you come into investment banking from an MBA program, you will usually skip the analyst level and jump to an associate immediately when you start. So how does compensation work for investment banking associates? Well, before we jump into that, it would mean a lot to me if you hit the like button on this video if you're enjoying the video, as it helps this channel out a ton. But to start, you're an investment banking associate typically for 3 years. As an associate, you typically have a base salary of around $160,000 to $225,000 a year, and in addition to that, you have a bonus of anywhere from 60 to 100% of your base. As you progress through each of the 3 years of being an associate, you will move up the ladder of compensation and eventually hit that $400K mark in around 4 years of total investment banking experience. That means if you come into investment banking out of an MBA program, you're usually only 2 years away from earning $400K. If you stay in investment banking, it's not a shot in the dark guess that you might earn $500,000 or more within a given year. No, it's a guarantee, an absolute must that you will. And that's why so many people want to be an investment banker. If you can stick it out, vice presidents with around 6 years of experience do earn $600,000 or more, and managing directors with over a decade in the game earn anywhere from $1 million to even $3 million or more within a year. So yes, the path to get there is pretty brutal, but it's structured. If you're okay with sacrificing a lot of your time and a very large amount of your mental health, you are going to get to that $400,000 a year number in just around 4 years of experience. But what if you don't want to stay up past midnight formatting PowerPoint slides or be in high-stakes sales meetings? Then you're going to want to pay attention to the third and final high-paying career that we'll talk about, and that's software engineering. Now, software engineering as a career has gotten a bit of a bad rep lately. Between the wave of new computer science grads struggling to land roles and AI tools aiming to replace developers, it's easy to wonder if the path is still worth it. The reality is, top organizations are continuing to pay massive salaries for the best engineers, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. Great engineers don't just write code, they help solve complex business problems and contribute to the product strategy within top firms. The issue, though, is that it's usually only top tech companies and startups that are willing to pay very high compensation packages for software engineers. If you don't break into those, then your compensation is going to look significantly different than someone who's been in FAANG companies their entire career. So how does the compensation progression actually look like if you made it into one of the highest paying organizations within tech? If you graduate with a strong background in computer science and land a role at a top tech company, think Google, Apple, Meta, you could be earning anywhere from $150K to $200K in total compensation. That includes your base salary, which makes up around 70% of your compensation, and the rest will be made primarily of equity or stock shares. It's only when you hit senior software engineer when your compensation can actually break $400,000. So how long would it take you to actually get there? Most software engineers who started within a FAANG company typically take 5 to 7 years before they hit the senior level. While that's the case, we're answering how fast can you potentially get to $400,000, and you can actually get promoted to senior software engineer within 4 years of experience. To get promoted within 4 years to senior software engineer, it would take a lot more corporate politics and a little bit of luck compared to the other two career paths. Therefore, even the highest performers would probably take around 5 years of total experience to break $400,000 in total compensation. The way to get to 400,000 would be jumping from one company to another after around 1 year of experience at the senior level because of how much negotiation leverage you would have. So to recap, 5 years of experience as a software engineer is an incredibly fast timeline to be earning $400,000 total. But again, it is something that I myself have seen, and under the right conditions, it's achievable. If you manage to earn $400,000 total comp as a senior software engineer, then you're probably well on your way to earning anywhere from $600,000 to even up to $1 million a year as a principal engineer down the road. All right, so we've covered 3 vastly different career paths, and to recap, software sales can get you to $400,000 a year in just 3 years of experience. If you are one of the best account executives out there and start selling to larger clients very early on in your career. If you're not that or struggle to hit your quota consistently, then companies are quick to let you go. Investment banking will most likely have you at around $400,000 after 4 years of experience. It will be the most grueling 4 years of your life, with around 80 to 100 hours a week of you having to be available on average, but you will get there. Now, software engineering might actually take the most grinding to land your first role within a FANG company, but when you do, you'll probably be earning around the same amount as a first-year investment banking analyst while working half the hours. Now, keep in mind, you'll be competing with AI and a lot of outsourced developers, while the other 2 career paths won't really run into that issue. At 5 years of experience though, and very high performance, you'll have decent odds of making it to that $400,000 a year goal. With all that in mind, it should be pretty clear based on your personality which of these career paths is actually right for you. Now, if you watch this entire video and are thinking there's absolutely no chance that I'm pursuing any of those, then you're gonna love this video right here, where I talk about which careers have very good pay, have decent work-life balance, and much lower barriers to entry. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, talk soon.